leader. Today, it's the 4th episode of a series of 5 designed specifically to help you get back to basics for leading the people who form your team. Here at Stacking Your Team, every day is a school day. And right now, as you tune in to this series, think of it as going back to summer school. Get ready to learn, take notes, and then apply what you've learned directly into your business so that you can be an even more effective leader. Today's topic, back to basics, how to host a one-to-one. Now, these touch points can be the most feared aspect of leading people, usually because leaders feel apprehensive about what's supposed to happen during a one-to-one. And many leaders are woefully reluctant to host one-to-ones and instead lean hard into technology for communicating with their team members. You know, they dump into a Slack channel thinking that it saves them time or it's super efficient for them and their team member to get what they need to move forward. Wrong. As a leader, you cannot abdicate your leadership duties by taking the easy way out, by slacking or voxering or emailing or, heaven help me, texting your team members with direction, delegation, or checking in on progress. No, people have the right to have quality conversations with their leader that are not rushed, not through tech, and time that is set aside specifically focused on them. Because it's a fact, people quit when they're not feeling connected to you or the work that they're doing. Let's get you and your team out of the mode of hiding behind tech or walking away feeling heavy from a one-to-one because they didn't get a chance to say anything they wanted to because the entire one-to-one was all about you. On the contrary, you can have part of the agenda for sure, but the intention of a one-to-one is to serve your team member so that they can do their very best work and feel great doing it. Now, this specific episode might ruffle your feathers, and that's okay, because I know that you want to be a better leader, and that starts with taking a hard look at where you can improve and how you can help your team members arrive to one-to-ones fully prepared to talk about results. Oh, and by the way, this episode is an actual audio of a training, and it will give you a peek into what kind of trainings are available to you and your team when you join the Leadership Lab, in addition to the live coaching sessions with me. Welcome to the Stacking Your Team podcast. If you are a woman who owns a small business and you'd like to learn how to lead your team so they don't need you to hold their hand, you are in the right place. I'm your host, Shelli Warren. I've led winning teams in retail, innovative technical teams at a Fortune 50 corporation, and coached many remote teams to win at work. And in case you're wondering, no one escapes team troubles, including me. You already know that the people side of running your business can be tough. I'm here to help. So let's jump into today's episode with a little reminder that the team that got you here may not be the team that will get you there. Hello, welcome back to another training session. I'm so happy that you're joining me for this very important topic for everything that you're doing within your business as you're growing your team. Let's talk about how to host a one-to-one. And as we're going through this training, there's a couple things I want you to think about. One is think about what you are now going to do differently when you're hosting one-to-ones. And then also think about how people on your team who would be responsible to other people, how you might want to nurture them so that they're doing a job of hosting their one-to-ones too. So we're going to talk about all things one-to-one. What is it? Who cares? And then, of course, how do we do it well? Because we can all think about times where we had one-to-ones with our leaders and it just wasn't ideal. So what is it? Well, it's a touch point, right? So you hear me talk about all the time, different touch points, and there's many of them, and you'll learn what those are. But one-to-one touch points is a moment where you're going to create a touch point with someone who you're responsible to on your team. And one-to-ones can be done weekly, monthly, or quarterly. And you may be thinking, oh my gosh, like I have to do one-to-ones every week. Well, I'm here to tell you that
some people on your roll, it's necessary to have a one-to-one with every week. Sometimes it's not, but we'll work through that as to when it's appropriate to have a one-to-one every week or a month or quarterly. But we absolutely, at a minimum, you're going to be wanting to provide a one-to-one every month at a minimum. So how do you host a one-to-one? Well, a couple things I want you to remember. It's all about building relationships with your team members, right? We're trying to build trust with our team members. And that starts by having adult conversations, eye to eye, including Zoom one-to-ones that you'd be having with your remote team members, because your team members deserve to have quality, private time with you, their leader. They want to feel seen, heard. You're going to want to do a wellness check-in. You're going to want to talk about their contributions and acknowledge the impact they're having within their role. And then you're going to want to be able to give them direct feedback and coaching and hear the feedback and coaching that they may have for you. So this is it in a nutshell. This is why one-to-ones are so important. And this is the outlook that you need to have every time you go into a one-to-one. So why would we want to host one? Well, virtual one-to-ones can really help you feel connected to people who are far flung. And in the recent years, many of us have, if you didn't have an experience working from home or working remotely, you more than likely did. And for some of you, this is how your business operates. It is an online business. So having these one-to-ones become critical to help people feel like they're part of a team, part of a company. So when we're doing one-to-ones, we want to have a drumbeat for them, right? Your team deserves to know, hey, when's the next time I'm going to have some quality focus time with my leader? You want to be able to give them those drum beats so they can anticipate when the next one is, be proactive, get prepared, and come to the meeting where their outlook for being there is to really maximize your time and their time together. We also want to make sure that we have a private setting, right? You don't have one-to-ones. That's why they're called one-to-ones. You don't have a one-to-one in the middle of your kitchenette, standing there while you're both making sandwiches and having a coffee. You want to be able to create an atmosphere where it's private, where it's confidential, where you're not being distracted by anyone or anything, and neither are they. Private setting for sure. You want to have that intention where you're checking your own outlook as to what do I want to accomplish today? What would be the very best thing that would happen after our one-to-one today? What do I want to make or help make this individual feel? What's the intention of coming together here? And then you want to have an agenda. And I know often in small business, it's hard for you to think that you need an agenda for a one-to-one, especially if you have someone that's been on your team for a while, because you feel like, well, we just get together and we just bang stuff out. We get together and we just kind of like work through our lists. That's okay. That's all cool. But I'm here to tell you that your one-to-ones will become even more effective by having a drumbeat, creating a private setting, going in with an intention, and having an agenda that you both agree on. Because here's the biggest complaint from your team members about one-to-ones. Your team members are frustrated that every time they show up for their one-to-one, they end up leaving their one-to-one not feeling great at all. And here's why. It's because they go to their one-to-one and they walk away overloaded with all the things that you had to do or you want them to do, and you just lay it on them. So they end up walking away. They get walking out of the room trying to carry this new, fresh workload that they're somehow supposed to add in to what they're already doing. Or they walk away, they shut down their Zoom feeling just depleted because they didn't get a chance to say anything that they wanted to. They didn't get to share anything that they wanted to. They didn't get to be able to talk about their priorities, ask key questions, get alignment on anything. So although it's called their one-to-one, it really is yours. It was your meeting that you came to host so that you could lob over all the things that you wanted to delegate to them. Feel the difference? Yeah, that's not what we want to have happen. So we want an agenda where it's repeatable, predictable, prepared, and it's focused on the team member. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot talk about things that you need to be delegated to them. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is your set agenda needs to have, it's all about them first. It's them first. And at the end of the agenda, that's when you get to come in and ask them for things, ask questions of them, delegate things to them. But you're at the end of the agenda, not the beginning. I mean, another big frustration that can sometimes happen is the team member shows up for their one-to-one. It's not about them. It's all about you. And then suddenly you get a text or someone knocks on the door and the one-to-one gets canceled or abruptly closed down. And you're like, okay, well, I got everything, that I wanted to share with you today. So we'll catch up with the next one. Now you leave and they're left thinking, oh, jeepers. Once again, she got all of her things shared with me. I didn't get to share anything. And a lot of that happened because of the format of your agenda. If you had made it all about them first and suddenly you had to abort the team, that one-to-one, they still would have been able to walk away knowing, well, at least I got to be able to cover off on these things. So it's about the team member. You need an agenda. You're going to put that team member first on the agenda. So let's have a look at some coaching tools. Now, this is often a barrier to people in small business where they avoid hosting one-to-ones because, well, they just don't know what to do at a one-to-one. And they don't know how to make it feel worthwhile. And they don't know what to say or the structure or how to build a connection with their team members and how to start building trust. There's a resource that we've created for you that literally helps you do a really great job of hosting your one-to-ones. So you just follow through here, right? We're going to set that drum beat. We're going to have a wellness check-in. And, these wellness check-ins, it's not that you're showing up to probe about their personal life. It's not that you're there trying to show up to be a surrogate mother or parent to them where you're going to help them make life decisions. It's more about doing a wellness check to give them time to talk about how they're feeling. And this became critical in the last few years where there was so much disruption in everyone's lives. And there was a lot of loss being felt around the globe. It was a terrible time for a lot of people. And too many leaders were hosting their normal drum beats without even a mention of anything that their team members may have been going through. They were just right down to business. And they lost a lot of trust with their team. And there was a lot of team turnover and a lot of people quitting. Because if there was ever a time where your team was looking to be seen and heard and felt like they were being cared for, it was then. And unfortunately, too many leaders were just so overwhelmed by it all and thinking about saving the business, thinking more about keeping the doors open, that they forgot that their team members are people. And so there was just woefully lacking in this. The other thing that doing a wellness check-in, where it becomes really important, is if you have a virtual team, you want to be able to see people. So I know that a lot of people really lean into team communication apps like Slack or Voxer. And believe me, they're great. And there's a place for them. But we don't want to rely 100% on those tools where you don't actually see your remote team members' faces, where you're not seeing the background, their home office, the fact that they're in a coffee shop. You need to see that to be assured that they're okay, or to also have it become very evident that something's wrong. And therefore we need to do, a different type of questions with them to help create a safe place for them to be able to open up and share with you, right? Nothing's worse than having someone quit only to find out that they've been ill for the last few months. And they had some day surgery that they didn't recover well from, or that there's some other crisis in their home or in their world. Like, we need to have these wellness check-ins so that everyone on your team feels seen and heard, and that they have a leader that takes it seriously about creating a workplace and an environment and a trust level where they can bring their whole selves to work and be able to really be competent within their role. So those wellness check-in questions are really important. The other thing we want to do is foster some ownership, right? So we want to be able to really acknowledge, reinforce, reset expectations if we need to, applaud and reward where they have taken ownership for results. And then we want to check your attitude too, right? So when we're walking into these moments, these touch points, we really need to stop and think, okay, hey, wait a minute. This is not about me. This is about the team part. It's about this individual. How can I look like the most help with them today? How can I come in with an attitude of servants? How can I make sure that they feel like their time with me was well spent, and that they walk away feeling like they know what their next step is, feeling encouraged, feeling confident about the next thing that they're going to do, right? You need to check your attitude every time you walk into them. And then the other thing that we need to make normal in one-to-ones is to talk about results. And I find in the world of small business, this is another gap area where small business owners think that the only time they should really have any type of an adult conversation about results is when everything's off the rails. And in reality, we want to be able to talk about results all the time in team meetings, in daily huddles, in your one-to-ones, so that people expect to be asked about their result areas. They expect to talk about goals. They expect to be able to give a status report on something. They expect to be able to come and say, here's my action plan to turn this around. If you make that normal, then people will start to really behave like professionals at work. And, too often small business owners, like I said, they wait until everything's off the rails. And now they've got to have this really heavy adult conversation, or they wait until the end of a quarter, or at midway through the year, or at year end. Cheapers, that's such a time waster. Now you've got to scramble to try and make up for lost time. Let's make it normal to talk about results. And my favorite tool that I learned in corporate many moons ago that I use all the time with all my clients and everything that I create is we talk about is everything red, yellow, or green. And we want to make sure that things that are red it's a good thing. It's a good thing that someone was mature enough and had the self-awareness to call out and say, this is red, right? We don't want people hiding things in the yellow or saying it's orange. We want people to own up the fact that, hey, this is red and I'm here to ask for help. Let's get an action plan together. Let's turn this around, versus hiding reds or making the atmosphere that red is a bad thing. No, red is a good thing because it means that you're on it. You've got your eye on it. You're aware of it and you're ready to take different action. So let's use the red, green, and yellow signal light to be able to make these conversations easier. The last one that seems, difficult for a lot of leaders is that they're very confident and capable to give feedback, but darn it all, they're not good at taking it. And that's one of the prime reasons why your team does not trust you and why you're not building long-term commitment with your team members. When your team members feel like they cannot be open with you with sharing their point of view on something, what ends up happening is they shut down and they pull back and they literally will sit on the perimeter of your team while they look for work elsewhere. You see it happen all the time. So we want to be that leader that asks for feedback and willingly listens to it and then says thank you and then is quiet, right? It's not about defending him. We've got other training there that we'll go through to help you get better at giving feedback and taking feedback too. And then the last one is we always want to wrap up a one-to-one by giving people some an opportunity to either write out what their next best steps are, like actually take time to collaborate in your one-to-one, where you're going to talk about what needs to get done next, by who, by when, who needs to help with this, and then get that concrete alignment on it so that the person walks away from the one-to-one knowing exactly what they're going to do. They know exactly what they're going to do and they feel very confident to go do it. And so do you. You feel confident that they know what their next best step is as well. So that alignment on your next steps it's the reward for having these one-to-ones on a drumbeat that are a great way to spend some quality time together. The other resource that we've put together for you is this coaching questions for your one-to-ones. And this is my way of helping you have the words and the phrases that you can use and where it can become a habit for you. And this will just become natural for how you speak to your team members to really help build trust. So for all of those components that we just went through, here are some words and phrases to be able to help you go through them. Now, it's not that you have to go, ask every question that I've given to you in each one of these blocks. It's more like, part of your preparation for hosting a one-to-one with a team member is to pull this out in advance, right? This is where you're going to set the intention. You're going to pull this out and you're going to highlight what specific questions you want to ask them as a conversation starter to demonstrate your interest in them, to demonstrate your willingness to listen to them based on what you already know is happening with them or based on things you've seen, witnessed, you've heard, and based on the results that they have. You want to pick out some of these questions and then use them to almost like a talk sheet where it's going to guide you through this one-to-one with them. So let's set up the next drumbeat that you're going to have. Let's take some time after this training right here, pull out those worksheets that we've provided to you and start to plot out what your drumbeats would be for your one-to-ones. So for every single person that you have on your team, let's grab your already, the drumbeat worksheets that you already have here in the program. Let's grab them out and let's plot down one-to-ones. If you already have that plotted out, let's have a look at considering, do I need more one-to-ones with this person? Is there a critical project that they're working on right now that I might need to have almost like a half a one-to-one, like a mini one-to-one with them more often? Is there an opportunity to help them, especially if they're having a performance outage right now? Is there an opportunity for me to increase my one-to-ones with them so that they're feeling more supported as they work through a performance outage? So think about setting up your drum beats for your one-to-ones and then make a conscious effort. Like you can just declare out loud today that one of the leadership skills that you are going to refine is becoming better at hosting one-to-ones. We're absolutely here to help you do that. And I will see you in the next training.
Did you feel the difference between what your one-to-ones look and feel like today versus what your one-to-one conversations could be like tomorrow when you introduce a structure and a design so that you're deepening your relationships with your team? Yeah, it's doable, and your leadership team members can also improve their effectiveness at hosting one-to-ones too. You can do one-to-ones differently from what you've always done simply by putting the individual first. Joining the Leadership Lab could be your very next best step to finally knowing how to lead. So your team turnover settles down. People know exactly what they're being paid to do, and the results you've been wanting your team to deliver actually happens. I've got the tools, frameworks, and coaching experience to help you to stop being disappointed in your team and instead start feeling great about who you hire, who you promote, and who you hand over the reins of your business to, because they're truly capable and happy to commit to bringing your vision alive for your clients and customers. Leadership can be exciting, challenging, and lonely at times. So don't go it alone. Let me help you create the team and the leadership structure that you've been craving. So till next time, remember, if you have a dream, you need a team. So let's get stacking yours today.